Happy New Year! Welcome back to Dash Explorer. I'm Sarah, and speaking of New Year's, I am so excited because I am here today to share with you how Andrew and I plan all of our travels and adventures for the year. So it is 2025, it is a new year, and we are so excited because that means that there is all the possibilities for adventure ahead of us. And something that we started doing last year that we are going to continue into 2025 is that last January we sat down and we planned out all of our trips for the year. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you how we go through the whole process and what we really love about doing this. So this is something that we actually did for the first time last year, and we loved it for a number of reasons. But I think the biggest thing for me is that it helped us to set and manage expectations. Travel has really become a priority for our family over the last year or two, and I want to be traveling like 24/7, but right now with our girls and just the way our life is, that's not something that we're doing right now. So it really helps for us to just sit down and talk everything out and get all of the expectations of what the year is going to look like balanced right up front at the beginning of the year. The next reason that we love planning all of our trips up front at the beginning of the year is because it helps us to prepare for them. By knowing that we are going on a vacation in October, it helps us to get the girls prepared, talk about where we're going, what we're doing, what this place is going to be like, and get them in a mindset where they're ready to travel to this place. It also helps us if we need to purchase anything, or as far as planning or just learning more about this place for ourselves so we know what we want to do there. It just really gives us the time to be able to plan these things so we feel prepared when we get there. So we really love to be able to have this all at the beginning of the year so that we have as much time as we can to prepare for these trips, especially the big ones. And the last reason why we love planning all of our trips up front at the beginning of the year is that it helps us to budget Andrew's days off from work, Haley's vacation days at school, as well as Delaney, she's gonna be starting preschool next year. And it also helps us to actually budget our finances. So by knowing upfront, what vacations we're planning to take, we can spread them out throughout the year so that we make sure that Andrew isn't taking all of his vacation within 1 month of the year. We also can make sure that we're planning trips for school breaks so that the girls aren't missing a lot of school. And we can also budget our finances as well as look for things like cheaper flights instead of waiting till the last minute to book them, and just all of that goes into planning a trip and how much it costs to go there. So by planning everything up front, we are able to wrap our heads around the trip. It gives us the flexibility to space them out, and we are all on the same page in the whole family, and we know where we're going, when we're going, and what we're doing. And I will make one quick note before I jump into the process of how we plan our trips, and that is that just because we talk about something in this process does not mean that it is set in stone and that we're going to do this. Last year, we had lofty goals of all the places we wanted to travel, and honestly, it was just not super realistic. So we ended up, I think there was 2 or 3 things on our calendar that we thought we were going to do that we just didn't end up doing it. So just because we talk about something right now doesn't necessarily mean we're going to do it. But by having conversations now, we're more likely to do things instead of scrambling at the last minute to try to plan. All right, so now let's jump into how Andrew and I plan our trips for the year. And the first step that we do is that we sit down and we have a meeting. And yes, we do have an actual business formal meeting. We sit down, I type up a whole outline of what we need to talk about, and we chat through all of our trips that we want to take throughout the year. So in this outline, I put each month of the year and all of the holidays that are going to be in that month, especially for school and work, so that we know when we would have long weekends or longer breaks. I put in birthdays, specifically our family's birthday and our parents' birthdays, because those are the ones that we typically celebrate and the things that we would want to keep in mind when going on vacations. And then anything that we already have planned. So weddings that we know are coming up, beach trips or family trips that we already have planned, or just anything that has already been booked or taken care of. I put all of that on that list. And then once I have that whole outline typed up, I print it out. We each get a copy. We each have pens so that we can go through and make notes while we're having our meeting. And we sit down and we talk through the year. Now, these meetings are not something that we just do at the beginning of the year. We actually do them periodically throughout the year, especially when a lot of activities and events start to pile up that aren't big things that we plan at the beginning of the year. We will sit down, type up an agenda, and talk through all the things that we need to get done as a partnership and make sure that we are getting these things accomplished. We lovingly call these meetings hotel bar meetings because we are fortunate to have a bar set up in our basement. We have found that we really love going to hotel bars when we are out and traveling, and obviously that's not something we get to do now that we have kids with us. So we call our hotel bar our in-home bar, and we sit down, we make a cocktail to make it more fun. We each get our agendas out and we talk through everything that we need to talk through. So for this year's meeting, we have 2 big trips that we are thinking about taking. So we kind of looked at the calendar, when school breaks are, when work breaks are, and came up with a general time frame of when we want to start looking into planning those. We talked through when like our family beach trip is, just so we knew when that was, and then made a list of a couple other things that we need to really take into account going into the year so that we can have everything organized. Now this is just step one in the process. This year it lasted about 20 or 30 minutes. We just kind of had some loose conversations. Like I said, this does not set anything in stone. It's just a conversation between the two of us where we get all of our thoughts and ideas written down on paper, and then we move on to the next step. And then the next step in our yearly travel planning process is to sit down and take all the notes that we took and put them onto this giant calendar. So this idea is something we actually took from Kara and Nate. They posted a video at the beginning of 2024 sharing how they plan their trips for the year, and they had a giant calendar like this. Now theirs was more of like a poster board that they were able to purchase online, but I wanted something that we could kind of reuse every year, and I came up with this dry erase board calendar setup. So I used my vinyl cutting machine. I cut all of the calendar templates out and put all of the months at the top. And each year I go through, use a dry erase marker and write all the days of the months out. And then we're set to start planning. So once our calendar is all set up for the year, I take our notes from our hotel bar meeting and I start putting everything up on the calendar. And I do that using Post-it notes. So each Post-it note is a different color and they each mean something to kind of help us decipher everything out. The yellow we use for like school and work holidays. The pink is like one-off events like weddings, baby showers, date nights, things that we know are just going to take up one day. And then the blue is things that we have already committed to. So like we know our family beach week is going to be this certain week in the summer, that will be on here, or like any visits to family, like that will all be in the blue. But this is stuff that we've kind of already talked to people about and loosely committed to. And then orange is anything that we need to plan. So we have hopefully a couple international trips planned for this year, so that will go in the orange, and some other like domestic things that we've talked about doing. So anything that we haven't officially committed to or booked anything for, that will go in orange. And I was also smart enough to make sure that when I was making the templates for these calendars, that they would be the size of a Post-it note. So these fit right on top of each box, and we're able to kind of put one on each box for each number of days that we're gonna be gone, or whatever one-off events that we have, so that by the time we're done, this thing is like a rainbow confection of travel and adventures and fun. So like I said, we did this last year. We had the whole thing filled out. I'm actually getting ready to sit down and do our calendar for this year, but we really like using the big calendar because both of us are pretty visual people, and to be able to see all of the potential trips and things that we want to do in one sitting is super, super helpful. I think I've already mentioned that last year there were some trips that we didn't take, and we were able to quickly see once we got things up here that we had way too much planned. It was going to be way too much time off of work and just not really feasible for the year. So by talking it out and having this visual representation of what we want to do for the year, it just really helps us. And once I get everything up for this year, we will also sit down again in like a third step and go over everything once we can see it all up on the board, talk through what maybe is too much, or add in things if we have some free space in 1 month. And then, once every 2, 3, 4 months, we'll pull it back out and revisit what we have for the second half of the year. So that is how we go through and plan our travels for the year. I really love this method because I feel like it is really customizable to you and how you process things. And it's also like a multi-step process. So it goes through a lot of filtration, and you're kind of able to funnel out all of the crazy ideas and get just a really focused outlook on what you want for the year. And one thing I did want to mention is that I went ahead and made the giant dry erase board. I do love it. It is really great and helpful in the process of making our travel plans, but it is a big space commitment. And as you can see, it's like not hung up anywhere. We don't really know where to put it. So if you are thinking about doing something similar, maybe think about that before you purchase a dry erase board because it is really large, and although it is nice that we can move it around, it is a big space commitment. So maybe you just want to do something that's more of like a poster board that you can roll up. One other way that you can do this that is also super helpful is you can just go online, print out a calendar for the year where each printer page is a month of the year, and you can do the same Post-it note system on the individual pieces of paper. And then when you want to plan things out, you can lay them out on the floor and have a discussion that way. And it's going to probably save you a lot of space as opposed to the giant dry erase board. But however you want to do it that way. So I hope you found this video helpful and that you will take some tips and some of these methods to your family, and that you guys will plan a bunch of fun adventures for yourselves, because there is so many possibilities, whether it is in your home city or in your home state or all over the world. Whatever you want to do, hopefully this process will help you do it. So thank you again for watching today. If you really enjoyed this video, or if you're going to try out some of these processes for yourself, please make sure you give it a like. And if you want to follow along for more of our travel content and to see all of the adventures that we have planned for this year, make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so that you can get notified when we post new videos. We also have an Instagram account, so you can head over to Instagram and follow us at Dash Explorer. And thank you again for watching, and we will catch you in the next one. And then orange.